Yo, the other day, man, I was on YouTube. YouTube got all the shit we know. So I was watching Superman 4, right? The Quest for Peace. I really don't like that fucking movie, bro. I don't like that movie, bro. You can say whatever you want. Oh, Christopher Reeve is the best and all that. And oh, yeah. I love 1 through 3. I mean, Superman's the first superhero movie I ever saw. So sitting around acting like, you know, I don't know something about Superman like that. That's who got me off the ground when it comes to superheroes, you know, for lack of a better term. But it's funny to me how people like to act like Superman ain't never killed nobody. Oh, Superman don't kill. He don't kill. He snaps Zod's neck. Oh, Henry Cavill this and that. Blah, 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 blah. Wham, wham, wham. Somebody called a fucking wambulance for these fools because this is ridiculous. Well, I'm sitting here watching Superman 4 the other day, and I was reminded because I was thinking about the fact that Lex, you know, I always tell people like there's shit in all of the Zack Snyder movies that you can find from all of the Richard Donner. Well, the first 2 Richard Donner movies, and I forgot who made the other 2. But all those movies, there are pieces of those movies in the new ones. So, but everybody was tripping about Superman killing Zod, right? He killed that nigga in part 2. So I don't know why everybody was crying. Like the shit was funny then. We was laughing at the shit then. Like he took their powers away. They was regular people at that point and dropped them in. Like you ever see those videos in the ground, like the ice will crack and it'll show those caverns and how deep that shit is, bro. That's where them niggas are. Okay. Zod, Ursa, and Nan are fucking dead. Okay. In part 2, they're all fucking dead. They're in the ice. They dropped hella far. Hey, Superman thought that was the funniest shit ever. Okay? He didn't give a fuck when he dropped Zod in that pit. And Lois Lane knocked that bitch out, dropped her ass. They didn't give a fuck. Okay? Now we fast forward all these years later. We watch Zod in a more serious situation because he targeted the people in part 2. Remember they were standing in the middle of the street blowing and shit? Man, imagine if that shit was like real, how it would have been. Like cars and shit was flying in the air. Like it would have been way worse than what we saw. People's bodies and shit would have been flying through buildings and shit, bro. It would have been gruesome. But because, you know, they wanted to make it more lighthearted and for family stuff, they didn't do all that. But they could have. They definitely could have. But Zod did target the people in the movie. He targeted the people. And that was in part 2. And so killing him, it didn't make us feel bad that Superman got rid of him. He was the villain of the movie. This is what we're used to at the time. You get rid of the villain by the end. And the nigga was targeting people. So we didn't care. Like Superman, that's who we had to deal with that threat. It was Superman. He had to be the one to do it. If it was one of us, if we had the power, we'd do it. But we don't. So we rely on him to take care of this. So fast forward to part 4, right? Quest for Peace. I'm watching the 2-hour version that somebody was generous enough to put up on the internet. And I've seen the cut scenes. You know, like I said, there's pieces in each of the movies that are taken and put into the Snyder movies. And in Zack's BVS, you have Lex Luthor creating Doomsday out of him and Zod. But if you look at part 4, Quest for Peace, he creates Nuclear Man from a strand of Superman's hair in his own blood. So this is like, you know, taking that kind of idea of Lex making a piece of himself into this monster to destroy Superman. This nigga vocabulary was very limited. Nuclear Man, he didn't know how to say shit. He was stupid as hell. And he was whack. His power, you close the curtains on this nigga and it's literally curtains for this nigga. Okay. Like it was just ridiculous. But at the end of the movie, to get rid of Nuclear Man. Now, Nuclear Man is not a human or anything like that, and he's only alive because of what Lex Luthor did in a laboratory. So is he a being worthy of saving or like keeping around? Because at the end of Quest for Peace, Superman dropped that nigga in a nuclear power plant, used him for power. Okay, and then in the one that I watched the other night with Superman, the extended version of part 4, he didn't drop him in a nuclear power plant. He flew him way the fuck out into space and dropped him into a black hole. And I thought that was a cooler ending. But, I mean, we sitting here acting like Superman ain't never did no shit like this to nobody. And here it is, plain as day. Like, even if he didn't drop him in the black hole, he threw him in the fucking nuclear power plant. What was he doing in there? Dancing? No, that motherfucker's dead. Okay? So that's that. Like Zod, all these villains that are too powerful for humans to deal with, and we need Superman to stand up to them. Well, yeah, they gotta go. And we don't feel no kind of way about it. Like, real motherfuckers don't feel no kind of way about it. Like, the villain had to go. We understand that shit. But it's other niggas out here that like to play games with villains. That's what I'm getting to, man. People act like Superman ain't never did this shit. They just playing games. They acting like Batman ain't never did this shit. They acting like in the first Batman movie, that nigga didn't drive into a fucking warehouse and drop a bomb and kill all the motherfuckers in that factory. Okay. What you got to say, bro? Do you think that, Zack Snyder having Superman kill Zod was out of line, or it's just some shit that just goes along with the movie because of what we looking at? That's just the way it had to go. So you talk to me. Let me know. I want to hear from y'all.
I'm going to make them suffer, Cal. These humans you've adopted. I will take them all from you one by one.
You're a monster, Zod. And I'm gonna stop you.